Hello everyone, this is Al Spectral. Welcome back to Land of Empires. So today I want to talk about the factions game mode in the battle disorder and why the current matchmaking process does not really work in the top bracket. So currently in this month's battle disorder, we have to the left BBB from server 47 together with home from server 75 and play from server 155. And on the right, we have Nexus from server 69 together with Legends from server 42 and War from server 27. Now, as many of these players know, some of these alliances are joined together. So we have Home and Nexus. They've been in a long-term alliance, and BBB and War, although we wouldn't call it an alliance, they are on fairly friendly terms. And what ends up kind of happening is kind of an imbalance in activity. Whenever home is pit against an opposite side from NXS, the participation kind of plummets. We kind of saw that in the last factions battle disorder, where although home agreed to participate, some of their players just did not want to join the battle, and that really not blaming any alliances here, and I do not want to make that the focus of this video. The reason why I play this game, really, the reason why we all play this game is to have fun. And I think one of the current issues is that due to some of these alliances, it makes the faction game mode not necessarily fun in the highest bracket. I think the highest bracket always gives us opportunity for like seriously epic battles. In the last battle disorder, of course, that was in factions. We saw records being broken with Young OG as well as Joe Zero. I believe Joe Zero, or was it Young? I totally forgot. But one of them passed 20 billion solo merits, which was the record-breaking merits from, I believe, Catzilla's last 16 billion record. And that is always interesting to see. And about, I believe, 8 or a year ago, Bound by Blood set the highest alliance merit record of around like 120 billion. Somebody probably has that screenshot somewhere. But anyways, I think the Battle Disorder game mode is really the defining game mode of this game, and it should be fun, especially at the highest bracket. And what I really want to advocate in this video is custom matchmaking. And I think a lot of players would agree with that. And I think some relationship between these alliances really cannot be fixed. For example, BBB has some really bad blood with game, and they will actively sabotage each other in these faction game mode, which is expected because it is part of the game mode itself. So I'm not gonna blame any of these alliances for doing it. But funnily enough, BBB's Farm Alliance at some point, and I did hear this news about a year and a half, or maybe even longer ago. What happens is that their Farm Alliance blocked Home from getting past Area 1. Uh, like, if I were to show this. So the characteristic of Battle Disorder is that you cannot declare on any structure, so that is whether it's a flag or a monument, without actually having your alliance tile touching it. So if we were to go to any of these gates, for example, let's I think this is a good example. So this gate, you can see that play and home are both touching it. So if this gate is connected by another structure, which of course is required in order to declare, the only way that you can declare is to get past the gate. But if you do not declare, you never unlock the gate, and you capture the tiles that are connecting to the gate, then it means that the other alliances in your faction will not be able to declare on the gate, and you will be locked without being able to do anything about it. Of course, one solution is to have the developers allow you to declare on the gate if there's any tiles that is touching the gate. So, for example, if there's a farm alliance who has captured both tiles, you can still declare on it. I think that is a very easy fix, but it doesn't solve the fundamental issue of the factions disorder at the top bracket not being fun for both sides, when the matchmaking is not properly done, which is true in this case. And in this battle disorder, especially, what I observed was that home and play actually collaborated to lock BBB out of the disorder monument. And I think that is completely understandable from the home perspective. I'm a little bit surprised play also decided to completely lock BBB and potentially make an enemy out of BBB. But that is essentially what ended up happening. And I think it just causes a lot of drama and it's not very fun to either side. I think what needs to be happen this this factions battle would have been so much more fun. For example, if home was on this side, legends and play. I think the positioning is appropriate. I don't mind if legends was with us or play was with them. War should have been on our side at the very minimum, and it would have been a crazy battle. But because home was on our side, or I mean, even if Nexus was on our side, it would have been really boring too. But of course, the developers has no choice but to put BBB on one side and Nexus on the other side, or otherwise, if we're on the same side, then it's just a complete washout. I don't think any combination of even four alliances can do anything versus the combination of BBB and Nexus. That is simply how tremendously overpowered the two top alliances are, especially Nexus. Their top end, like I always praise the mid end of BBB, but I think the top end of Nexus right now is unrivaled if they put their mind to it. So what ended up happening in this factions battle disorder is that home didn't really participate that much, and it was basically kind of a 2v2. We had BBB versus Nexus and Play versus Legends, and I just don't think that's very fun. Um, it causes a lot of drama unnecessarily, and people who do participate often really don't go all out. I know that was true for BBB. I personally, I love fighting. I love big clashes. I love big battles. So I'm always up for a fight. And thankfully, I do have the healing to back it up. So I was kind of active in this battle disorder despite me being quite busy. But unfortunately, the rest of BBB didn't really actively participate nearly as much, and kind of play and legends was the two alliances that showed the biggest participation, with respect to, of course, the number of players in their respective alliances in this battle disorder. And yeah, I'm going to later release a video where NXS kind of ganged up on me, but that was a really cool battle. I think it's always great to have those. Um, yeah, it's really always really great to have those like epic bursts of activity, which I really enjoy. I think it is really lame to burn a player when they are like offline. I think that's the most boring thing you can do, and it's most fun to attack and potentially zero each other when both sides are online and active. But yeah, I think in the future, custom battle disorder matchmaking for factions and the likes is very very important. I think that otherwise the game would be very boring. I mean, the factions game mode will likely continue to suffer these matchmaking issues where people are put into factions that they do not want to um, show their full activity. Or, yeah, I think that is just not great for the future of the factions game mode. And I really hope that the developers either uh, stop doing factions or do some custom matchmaking at the highest bracket. And I don't think that's a very hard thing to do. Just do the custom matchmaking. And for the other brackets, you can just do your usual thing. Randomly assign them to different factions. But yeah, and before concluding this video, I just kind of made this little graphic about the relationships between different alliances. This is based on my experience as well as some feedback from different players thanks to Will, people from XLGS, as well as Crimson Knight and others. But these is a overview of some of the biggest alliances currently in the game. To the left, we have BBB, and to the right of we have NXS. And what I have colored in blue and red here, almost like Democrats and Republicans, is the kind of friendly zone. So if you are in the zone, then you are relatively friendly to either NXS or BBB. And in red or blue, these are kind of alliances. Before, actually, what happened is that NXS was in a very strong alliance with Home and NMR. So these were like the big three. So these were really close together, along with Server 15. Well, Server 15 wasn't directly in an alliance, but they were friendly towards NXS, Home, and NMR. And Server 15 eventually fused into NXS. So in black here, we have kind of enemy or rivals. So BBB and NXS, they are definitely considered rivals. BBB and Home, I would consider them enemies. And Legends and Play, probably closer to rivals. Recently, I've been seeing Legends and Play clash against each other a lot, and it probably goes back to the Holy Mountain clash that they had a couple months ago, maybe even further than that. But it's always great to see two alliances of relatively comparable power clash against each other. And over at the side of BBB, we have Home, War, and XLGS who are on relatively friendly terms with BBB. Now, War we've met quite often as of late in the Battle Disorder, although Home we haven't met for a while, and especially XLGX we haven't met for a long time either. And this is kind of the same thing with NMR. I would have put them like in a very close alliance with NXS and Home, but because they have weakened so much in in recent days, they are not really relevant to the alliance anymore. And I know that a lot of the original members have left the game since then. I'm not sure if Yadav Vishnu is still playing, but I know a lot of like Reaper, people like that, they are no longer playing, which is really unfortunate. But most of the alliance you can see here are neutral. So LH0 from server 177, we have LOL, we have DEA, we have WoW, ABSO, Holy, all very common names that you would see in the SS tier bracket. And this is really why we only need custom matchmaking in the highest bracket. And this is mostly to break this up, kind of. I think that Home and NXS should be on the same side. And I say that so that the highest bracket can be fun again, I think. Because if Home and BBB are together, then BBB and or Home will not put forth their best effort. And we have observed that this faction as well as the previous faction, which I just think that it makes the best game mode, the defining game mode of the Land of Empires rather dull. And I think in the long term, that will make a lot more players quit. So yeah, this is really to exemplify that we only need custom matchmaking in the highest bracket. If the dev wants to expand custom matchmaking to some of the lower brackets in the SS tier, then I guess it is welcome. I'm not sure how they're going to do that, but I think doing custom matchmaking for the highest bracket is much more straightforward. Like put BBB together with Legends and Play versus NXS, Home, and some other alliance, like maybe ABSO. I think that is going to lead to much more epic battles than what we have now. I think the normal game mode overall is fine. Like, of course, BBB and NXS will be put together in the normal game mode, and either alliance can be checked by other alliances depending on, I guess, the distribution. So I think the normal game mode was fine, but the faction game mode definitely needs a fix. I don't want to make this video too long, drag it out too much, but this is just a representation of the relationships. If you have anything to correct or if you want to add your alliance here, please let me know in the comments and I will be sure to add and update this figure. I think this figure will be updated with time. I just think that it is very interesting for now. We do hope to see maybe Rome in the highest bracket in the future, but I do think they are a bit too low on players at the moment. XLGS, I think overall there are. I mean, they have quite a few actives, but I think overall their relative power is a bit too low. War only managed to rejoin the highest bracket recently because a portion of BBB, that being General, Sev, and a few others, uh, exited and joined War about a month and a half ago. But yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed this video. My next video will either be covering the new update or look at my 1v4 clash versus top NXS players that just occurred yesterday, which was pretty interesting. I managed to record it, so I'll be probably doing a commentary over that recording on YouTube. So yeah, look forward to that video as well. So thanks everyone again, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.